It's out of tune. Hello Mouses! Today we're going to start off with some good news and some bad news. First up, the good news. The two people who murdered a 15-year-old because they decided that he was somehow infected with witchcraft have been jailed for life. So good news there! I hope they stay there. Now, the bad news. Some idiot in the Catholic Church with a big funny hat made of gold, I can't remember his name because he's not important, but he's decided that gay marriage is like slavery. How do you get to be so stupid that you think slavery is the same as two people wanting to get married? There's something really messed up in this guy's head, probably due to the fact that he wears a gold crown all day. What a moron. Oh. But enough about him because he's a tit. Let's move on to some actual news. Well, I say news. According to research reported on by the Telegraph, white Britons will be a minority by 2066, but they're defining minority as less than 50% of the population. And to be honest with you, I'm really finding it difficult to work out why this is news. It seems to only be news due to the fact that it's white people who might become the minority instead of black people. And to me, that's just stupidity. Skin colour doesn't matter. It's all about culture and whether you fit in with the culture of the country that you're living in. And to be honest with you, a lot of white people don't fit in with the culture that they're living in. Like it or not, we have a multicultural society. And the idea that white Britons might suddenly become a minority because of immigration is somehow newsworthy is just silly too. Britain has been invaded so many times I can't even count it. Let's go back and do a quick history of all the ones I can think of. There's probably more, but we'll do the main ones I can think of. So we're going to start off with the ancient Britons. And this is in prehistory, so we have no real idea about who they were, whether they were a unified group, whether they were just tribes that dotted around or whatever. Because prehistory is, as it says, before history. So we have no documentation. Let's cart ourselves forward to the Iron Age, and we get the Britons that were there and trading with northern France and surrounding areas during the Iron Age. We know that they were trading because that's how Julius Caesar heard about Britain, and then he invaded. So the first time we have is ancient Britons, who may or may not be the same as the ancient Britons we just talked about in the prehistory era. But given the widely different cultures of Britain compared to Europe, it's possible that they were. Anyway, we have the ancient Britons being invaded by the Romans. But the Romans don't invade and then just destroy the indigenous culture. Oh no, the Romans did what Romans do. They integrated, and with the Britons they became the Romano-Britons. And they lasted until around the 4th, 5th century. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember that the Emperor Honorius sent a very famous message to the Romano-Britons saying, stick together, just try and keep a lid on everything, we'll be back as soon as we can. And then he took everyone out to fight the invading Germans. Why was he saying stick together and try and keep things under control? That's fairly simple, because the moment the Romans left, the Saxons came. And the Saxons came in and displaced the indigenous Britons, which is why we now have the Welsh. The Welsh are basically what's left of the original Britons who controlled the island. And the Saxons came in and took over what is mostly England and parts of lowland Scotland now. So there you go, the Saxons here now. And then the Angles came over too, and they integrated into the Saxons and became the Anglo-Saxons. And that's where England comes from. It's basically Angleland in the native Angle tongue. But what was going up in Scotland? Well, they had all kinds of people, the Celts and the Picts. And then the Jutes came over from Jutland, or possibly some other places, depending on who you listen to, because no one's really sure. But they came in and they tried to take over part of England and then intermingled with the Anglo-Saxons, and the English got bigger. And then we lasted for a little bit just as Anglo-Saxons. And then after that, we get the Danes coming in, and they formed the Danelaw down the eastern coast, and gave us our actual proper legal system. So thank you to the Danish. So now we've got the Danes there, and we have the Anglo-Saxons and the Celts and the Welsh. What about the Irish? They're over in Ireland. They do invade a lot into Britain, but a lot of the time they get pushed back. But they do invade Scotland a lot, and that's why Scotland and Ireland have the same native languages, or, well, let's say the same. They have the same basis for their native languages. Because they intermingle a lot more than anyone did with England, because England's full of those weirdo Anglo-Saxon invaders. What else? Well, then we come to William the Conqueror and his army of Normans, which, according to history, is not just a bunch of guys all called Norman. And here's the funny thing, they're also Scandinavian, so we've been invaded by Saxons, who are German, Angles, who are German, the Jutes, who might have been German or might have been Scandinavian, and then a load of Scandinavians and some more Scandinavians, which is why English sounds so funny compared to everyone in mainland Europe. And the Norman invasion comes along and we end up with what's basically the shape of England now. That's what William the Conqueror takes. But then jump on hundreds of years and we get the final proper invasion of England. And this one just shows just how refined and polite the British can be, because it's an invasion by invitation. The Parliament wasn't happy with King James II of England and 7th of Scotland after the kingdoms of England and Scotland had been united, so they invited William of Orange to come and invade the country. Basically went, we don't like that king, you come over and be our king. And he did. But the Danish come and invade again, as if they hadn't already been here and gone, it's a bit cold and wet, we're not too happy. The thought of crowns really did it. So there we have it. The invasions of Britain. It's not like we've never been invaded before and our culture hasn't changed before, because we've never had a stable culture. We keep changing and we'll continue to change. All that's going to happen is, according to this research, skin colours might change a bit. And to be honest, who cares? No one in their right mind cares about skin colour, and if you do worry about skin colour, then perhaps you need to see someone about the fact that you're basically afraid of pigmentation. Anyway, that's been it from me. I've been Kirk-Robinson, you've been watching a video, and I'll see you tomorrow.